Here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get, and maybe you can help me with this. First of all, can we agree that candy is a good invention? You're with me on that, right? I mean, they've got candy back there. Henry put candy on there. Like we all have our favorite candy bars, right? What are yours? What are your? Come on. Snickers. Kit Kat, Snickers, classic, excellent. What else? Peanut M&Ms, good. What was yours? Twix. Okay, cool. Yeah, the classics. I mean, candy is a good invention. It's a really good thing. I should know. I grew up a stone's throw away from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Candy is literally in my blood. That's not good. That's a serious problem, actually. The blood sugar thing is that's a problem. But here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't understand. We all have our favorite candies, and yet you take us and you put us into a movie theater, and we get this whole mindset shift, and we will buy and consume candy that we would never even think of outside of that situation, right? And we have our go-tos in the movie theater too. What's one of your movie theater go-to candies? What? Nestle Crunch? What is it? Raisinets. Raisinets. Here. Pass these back to Henry, please. Pass them back to Henry. Henry, when they left my hand, they were unopened. Milk Duds. There we go. Milk Duds right there. Milk Duds. That's Red Vines. Get out. That's all I have. That's all I have. Now, for me, I'm a Raisinets guy, but Raisinets guy like Henry. But when I was a kid, my go-to candy, my go-to movie theater candy, was Dots. Remember Dots? I love that. I still like Dots. So that's what we're going to talk about today for the next 20 minutes. We're going to talk about mindset and Dots. It was a long way to go for a premise, wasn't it, Mark? Mindset and Dots, because here's the thing. As writers, you know that stories have power, right? The story we tell ourselves in any given situation can change everything. And there's a story that the research shows 4 out of 5 people tell themselves, which is really limiting our thinking. 4 out of 5 people tell themselves this story, this mindset. And it's a mindset about where ideas come from. And it limits our thinking. And as writers, we can't have that. Here's what the mindset says. Here's what the story is that most people tell themselves. They tell themselves that innovation, creativity, ideas, creativity, we'll just call it creativity generically for this. The creativity it's this lightning bolt. It's this lightning bolt that comes down from the sky, and it only strikes the gifted few, right? You know, the Da Vinci's, the Edisons, Steve Jobs, the woman who invented Spanx, you know? It only strikes the gifted few. Here's what's wrong with that story. 1, it's incorrect. And 2, it keeps everybody else from even trying. How many of you know people like this? I'm not creative. I'm just not. How many of you know somebody like that? Yeah, how many of you are related to somebody like that? Yeah, how many of you are sitting next to somebody like that right now? There we go. Eleni's hand shot up. But we know people like that who think that I'm not one of the gifted few, so I'm not even going to try. It's not for me, it's for the others, right? Here's the truth. For 15 years, I produced a comedy TV show in Seattle, Washington. Our job literally was to be creative every single week, on demand. Here's what I learned during those 15 years. Creativity, innovation. It's not about some magic lightning bolt. It's all about connecting dots. Connecting dots in a way that nobody else ever has before. Okay, so now what are these dots? They can be anything. Ideas, experiences, people. Everybody in this room is a dot. And the more ideas you encounter, the more experiences you have, the more people you interact with, the more dots you have, right? Which means the more connections you can make. That makes sense, right? Here's what it looks like. This is a sheet of dots. Avery dots. You all know Avery dots, the labels, the sticky labels? There are a lot of dots here, right? Which means a lot of connections. That's good. That's really good. This is what it looks like inside the brain of an innovator, a creative person, a writer. A lot of dots to connect. But what do you notice about these dots? Beg pardon? They're all in a row. Same color. You put all that together and they're all the same, aren't they? They're all the same. They're all 3/4 inch navy blue dots. Kind of boring. Now, if all of your dots are 3/4 inch navy blue, if you only ever read the same books or articles or blogs, if you only ever listen to the same podcasts, the same newscasts, the same music, if you only ever hang out with the same people and you talk about the same things every single time, if all of your dots are 3/4 inch navy blue, then all of your connections are going to be what? The same. 3/4 inch navy blue. It's fine, but it's safe. It's predictable, right? And as writers, if all you connect are dots that are the same and predictable, then you're going to write books that are the same and predictable. You're going to write the safe books. And can we agree that there's already enough of those in the world? But what if your dot collection looked more like this? Oh, this half of the room. Give me an ooh. Come on. This half of the room. Give me an ah. There. Oh. We'll do it again. No, because that was good. But what if your dot collection looked more like this? Did you get that? Man, no, that's what we're talking about. You start connecting these dots, there's no telling what color your connections, your creative ideas might be. You connect a blue dot with a yellow dot, ooh, you get a green idea, right? That's what we want to be doing as writers, as creative people. We want to be connecting those outsider dots, those yellow dots. Not just the navy blue, the weird ones, the oddball ones, the ones that don't seem to fit. Man, that's where the magic happens. Mark's kind of an expert at this, because he's really good at taking those yellow dots and turning them into money. He turns them into programs constantly. He's really, really good at that. So here's the thing. We've got to be open to these yellow dots. We should be actually looking for them proactively, not just noticing them when they show up, but looking for them proactively. Here's the problem, though. I live in Seattle now, but I was born and raised in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Now, when you think of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, what do you think of? What comes to mind? What's the first thing? What? Okay, that's, fine. We can talk after that. Yeah, that'll apply to everybody. The Amish is what I'm going for. I don't think Michael Port's Amish. But the Amish, yeah. Now, if you ever have a chance to visit Lancaster, especially an Amish farmhouse, one of the things you're going to notice about the horses is that all the horses are wearing blinders. I mean, partly as a fashion choice, sure, but mostly so that they're not distracted by other options, other possibilities, other opportunities, which is good, because if that's your source of transportation, you don't want to end up in a ditch because Cinnamon saw a rabbit. So blinders on an Amish horse, really, really good idea. Not such a good idea for writers or the rest of us. But here's the problem. We've all got blinders, don't we? Some that we know about, some that we don't know about. We've all got blinders. It comes with being human. That's just part of the ingredients. So I'm not going to stand up here and say, cast off your blinders. Get rid of your blinders. That's not realistic. It's a part of the package. Here's what I will ask you to do, though. Everybody put on your blinders right now. Let me see. Come on, Dana. Come on, yeah. I can see you up here. Okay, now I'm not going to ask you to cast off the blinders. I will ask you just to do this, just to broaden your blinders. Just a bit. Just a bit. That might be all it takes. That might be all it takes to see that yellow dot that was hiding before. Just a little bit. Because you never know which dot is going to lead to the breakthrough. You never know which dot, which idea, which conversation, which random thing that doesn't seem to have anything to do with your world will lead to the breakthrough. January 10th, 1987. Sure. January 10th, 1987. Perfect example. It's a Saturday. It's a show day for my TV show, Almost Live. That was the name of the show. And we are, oh my goodness, we are pumped. We are, have you ever had one of those experiences where you're just quivering with excitement? You know, maybe it involves a pen. I don't know, but still. We were vibrating with excitement because we'd gotten a genuine big name to be our guest tonight. A genuine big name. Didn't happen very often, but we got Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. Now let's be clear, this is pre-wackadoodle Johnny Depp. But still, we got him. He was shooting a TV series at the time called 21 Jump Street, and they shot up in Vancouver, BC. Well, we're in Seattle. It's like, what, 2.5 hours away. So I called him up. Turns out he knew who I was. He knew the show. So he was going to be our guest tonight, January 10th, 1987. Happy dance time. This is my happy dance, my Elaine dance. We're so happy until around noon, I get a phone call. It's Johnny Depp. He's canceling. The day of the show. Day of the show. He was very nice about it. They scheduled reshoots for Jump Street. He couldn't get out of it. He said he said, I'm really, really sorry. I'll make it up to you. Still waiting. But have you ever had this happen in your world? Everything's going along great. You've done your due diligence. You've dotted the I's. You've crossed the T's. And then the universe has a different idea. Just pulls the rug out from. You've had this. All of a sudden your day turns into a train wreck. So you know the feeling, right? You know the feeling. We're in a panic. It's the day of the show. I call an emergency meeting. We try to come up with a guest for tonight's show. Obviously, it's got to be somebody local. What about one of them Seahawks? No, they're out of town this week. What about that cute new anchor at comedyTV? No, she's in rehab. And on it goes. And it's starting to look hopeless. You've been there too, haven't you? It's starting to look hopeless. When one of my writers, it was my lowest paid writer. My lowest paid writer pops his little head up and says, maybe we could put me on the show. Maybe I could do something. With liquid nitrogen. Clearly, he did not understand the situation. I mean, think about this. We're looking for a guest to interview, and he's babbling on about liquid nitrogen. Just another one of his stream of stupid ideas. Honestly, maybe that's why Bill Nye was my lowest paid writer in the first place. I don't know. So my first reaction is, shut up, Bill. The grown-ups are trying to solve a problem. Okay, not my finest hour, admittedly. But why was that my first reaction? Why was my first reaction to shut that down? Blinders, exactly. I was wearing blinders, wasn't I? We all were. And inside our blinders, we were looking for a guest to interview. Fortunately, somebody else on the show, somebody smarter than I, was able to broaden their blinders just enough to see the yellow dot and say, hang on a second, Bill, what are you talking about? Which, by the way, was said on a weekly basis at Almost Live, practically daily. But that's when Bill started to paint a picture for us about liquid nitrogen and what it can do with a marshmallow. You take a marshmallow, throw it in liquid nitrogen. It's very cold. I take the marshmallow out with a pair of tongs, put it in my mouth. I bite down, smoke pours out of my nose and mouth. Cool! And that night, I put him on the show. And that's the night that Bill Nye, my lowest paid writer, became Bill Nye, the science guy. Just a couple months ago, I was down in Hollywood watching him get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's why the yellow dot is so important, because see, why did that happen in the first place? It happened because Bill Nye was different than we were. We were all writers and producers. Bill Nye was and is a science guy. He saw the world differently than we did. He was the yellow dot. He was the yellow dot, and I almost missed it. What yellow dots are we missing? I encourage you to look for those yellow dots. In a couple hours, Mark LeBlanc's going to be up here again. And we've all heard Mark talk, right? We've all heard Mark speak and speak and speak. And it's easy to dismiss it sometimes. Mark got this rap for a long time at NSA that, oh, I've read Mark's book, I've heard him speak, I don't need to pay attention, right? Blinders. When you listen to Mark later on this afternoon, no matter how many times you've heard him, no matter how many achiever circles you've been to, I want you to listen with broadened blinders. I want you to listen thinking to myself, what's the yellow dot here? What's that new idea I haven't heard before? Or what's that idea that I have heard before, but now I'm in a different place? What's the yellow dot? That's such a great question to ask. What's the yellow dot here? When Bill Nye got his own TV show, if you were to go to his studio, Nye Labs, you would see up on the wall a piece of paper, just typing paper, where Bill Nye had typed a list of rules for the show. Here's what the show is, here's what the show isn't. But at the top was the objective, the show objective. A lot of shows have an objective. I've worked for TV shows a lot. Get it to a #1 rating, win an Emmy, get into syndication. Bill Nye had a different objective for his show. It was 3 words. Change the world. Change the world. The power to connect dots in a way that nobody else ever has before is the power to change the world. In 1440, Johannes Gutenberg connected a wine processor with movable type and created the printing press. He changed the world. In 1962, a group of 4 young men from Liverpool, England, connected blues, pop, skiffle, Motown, and created the Beatles. They changed the world. In 2016, Burger King connected a Whopper with a burrito and created the Whopperito. It failed within a year. Look, not all these are going to work out. But you never know which dot can change the world. Here's why authors matter. Because authors are willing to say, here's a dot that you're not seeing. Here's an idea that you haven't considered. Here's a story that you haven't heard that could change your world. The ability, the power to connect 2 or more dots in a way that nobody else ever has before is the power to change the world. So as you embark on your next book and the one after that, please don't be content to write a 3/4-inch navy blue book. There are enough of those already. Broaden your blinders. Collect those yellow dots. Connect them in a way nobody else ever has before, and change the world. Thanks.